Hello and welcome to your Sunday night vibe with lifelong friends who are twinning in energy as holistic healers, psychic mediums, and executive life coaches. I'm Amy Dascola.
And I'm Dara, Jewett.
And we are the Soul Tribes. We are here to help to normalize spirituality and create a conscious community. And today we will be speaking on the modality of Reiki. And we have a fabulous guest, Miss Tina Conroy, also known as the Intuitive Medium out of Long Island, New York. And Dara is going to tell us a little bit more about Reiki. As I was teasing her earlier, my husband, who's very techie, she would be the SME, the subject matter expert. And our guest today is also a SME or an SME for Reiki. So take a minute and let's hear what Dara is going to tell us about our modality today of Reiki.
Okay, so Reiki is a technique that actually came out of Japan. It originated approximately between 1914 and 1920, history states. It was actually an amazing man named Usui Sensei. He was on a 21-day fast on Mount Kurama in Japan. And during this fast, he had this amazing attunement to this universal energy source. And that's really what Reiki is. So the Rei is focusing on what it actually means is the God force energy or the universal energy source. And then Ki is actually the life force energy. So what Reiki really means is the life force energy from the divine God source. So what it really is an abundance of energy that will flow through your body and fill you up with this life force energy, which of course is what keeps us all healthy and alive. When this life force energy begins to diminish, this is when we can get sick. And when it stops, unfortunately, that's when the soul departs the body and we are no longer in human form here. So Reiki is such a powerful modality that I am so grateful to have found in my life. It can really treat everything and anything. It helps with depression, anxiety, physical pain. It even helps with post-surgery. So a lot of nurses are using Reiki in the hospitals after surgery, and the reduction of medication has been astronomical, as much up to 60% reduction in medication, which of course, as we know, unfortunately, opioids is a huge issue for addiction, not only here in America, but all over the world. So if we can reduce the amount of medication that people are consuming in their body post-surgery, we're going to reduce the amount of addiction. And so anything that can help you to heal quicker, faster, in a more natural way is very important. Basically, it also helps to boost the immune system. It helps with insomnia, which of course I definitely have experienced a great improvement in my sleep patterns, not only from the lavender, but also from Reiki. It helps to release toxins. It even can help to release weight that's stuck on. So it really, really is a very, very powerful natural treatment. And it also helps to help with greater focus and energy. So if you're doing something, you need to study for something and you need clarity, it really does help to boost your ability to retain the knowledge, but then it also helps to increase your energy levels. It also has been proven to help cure many diseases, including cancer. Now, of course, you would need intense treatments every single day, possibly by multiple Reiki practitioners to get these results, but it definitely has been proven, so much to the fact that I am just so grateful that it is now accepted by the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine. So this is just so huge for all of us in the healing community, because we've been using Reiki for so long, and now it's actually accepted by mainstream. So, Amy, please tell everyone about, I know that you also, Reiki is dear to her. Please tell everyone about your experience with Reiki and how it's improved and affected your life.
Yes, Reiki is something just absolutely magical. And it first came to me, Dara and I grew up in Minneapolis area, and I used to, before COVID, travel a lot. And every time I would get onto an airplane, I made it a goal to buy a, a spiritual book to listen to and to read on. So I would either have the audio or just an old school book, right? So I took that time and I used to think of it because I would go places to try and learn something new. I always thought of it as there's a Bob Marley song that talks about travel wide. And so I found that it would expand my consciousness and it would expand my horizons traveling. So anytime I would get onto an airplane, I would decide, okay, this is what I'm learning about right now. So I bought this book for my little spiritual classroom of the airplane. And I also have ADHD. So it's very difficult for me to concentrate on a book. So there's probably only been 2 or 3 books I've ever finished my whole life. I have a whole bookcase of books behind me and I do read them, but I never finish them. But one book that I was drawn to, who was a local psychic and healer in the Minneapolis area, her name was Echo Bodine. And Echo Bodine wrote about Reiki in the 80s, and I probably read her book in the 90s. I don't know, it was like somewhere between 13 and 15. And it was about hands-on healing. And it was called Hands That Heal, or Hands That Can Heal You, one of the two. And it was the first time I realized that, wow, there is something out there greater than modern medicine, greater than medication, greater than surgeries, et cetera, et cetera. And I was so mind blown by it. And I was just enamored with the fact that this woman could heal people with her hands without touching them. But she also does the hands on too. So it kind of sparked my interest, and I definitely started learning more and finding out about it. And my mom had some friends that were Reiki masters in my teens. So I also saw how it did work and how it did help to heal people. Fast forward to I am a teacher in Tampa and I'm in my probably 20s. And I taught with a woman named Lindsay Marino. And Lindsay and I were friends. And now Lindsay's actually a psychic medium as well. So she introduced me to her friend, one of her dear friends, Melissa Carroll. And Melissa Carroll has also been featured on our show. You can hear all about all of her wonderful shadow work and Reiki. And she attuned me to Reiki. And the minute I was attuned, I just felt lighter. I felt freer. I felt like I had a different energy about me. And it was magical. Like there was no other way to describe it. And I would feel all of a sudden when someone needed something or was in pain, my hands would heat up. And it was so wild. I'm like, what is this? And I will never forget the first day that I used it on someone, and it created a buy-in for myself because I still wasn't sure. I was like, why are my hands heating up? What am I doing with this energy? Right. So there was, I had a coworker at the time I was teaching, and she was going through fertility treatments. And unfortunately, she was having a lot of difficulties because of some endometrial issues and was in a lot of pain. And I saw her in the teacher's lounge and she was crying. And I was like, listen, and my hands started to heat up. And that was always like, as I said, my hint, okay, it's time for healing or it's time to help. So I said to her, are you open to receive Reiki? And she said, what is Reiki? I said, listen, I'm just going to put my hands right above you and I'm just going to help you. And I said, are you, open to receive? And she said, absolutely. Anything you can do to help me, please. So we went up to her classroom and it was like dark, just made it really nice and comfortable for her. And I held my hands over her abdomen. And within like 20 minutes, she was like, "Oh my goodness, Amy, I'm not in pain anymore. That's incredible. I've been taking ibuprofen. I've been taking a leave. I've been doing everything and I'm just in so much pain." So that to me was the moment I was like, wow, this is more than just something in your head. This is more than just an idea. This is more than just something to tune into. This is a spiritual practice and this is medicine. And so it was so wonderful to be able to share that with someone. And then I started using it on myself and I started tuning myself. And then I started using it on my husband and other people around me and just realized the power of it. And then fast forward, I reconnected with Dara and saw that she was a Reiki master. So do you want to kind of go into your story, Dara, about that?
Absolutely. So I first found out about Reiki, honestly, right after my soul retrieval. I was researching, or probably about the same time, because I was researching so many different modalities. And I had actually never had a Reiki treatment when I was attuned to Reiki. For me, it was almost like, when you have that gut feeling that it's like you read some, and that's how it was with the soul retrieval too. Like there's just something inside of you that says, I don't exactly know what this is, but I know I have to learn it. I have to
Mhm.
utilize it. Yeah, it's so it's really important that you listen to your higher self, your sixth sense, your stomach, those gut instincts that pull you certain ways. And so I just started to do more research and I found an amazing Reiki practitioner in New York, got my first Reiki attunement. And after that, it was just so phenomenal. Before that, I was eating extremely clean, but at that time, I still was consuming fowl. So, bird, chicken, things, basically just chicken. But about a week before your Reiki attunement, they really say 2 or 3 days, but I did it for a whole week. They recommend that you eliminate all meat. And so I did. I went completely vegetarian at that point, and it was crazy because after I got my first attunement, and still to this day, my body rejects any form of meat. I don't want it. I never was a big meat eater, I will say, but literally I can't consume it. I even had some soup at a restaurant once and accidentally a chicken piece got into my vegetable soup and my mouth literally rejected it and spit it out. So it really also does raise your frequency. So after I got my Reiki 1 attunement, I let the attunement sit in my body for a while. I did practice on a lot of friends and coworkers and really helped to build up the energy. And when I was ready for that Reiki 2 attunement, about 6 months later, I got it. I was wearing my Moldavite crystal though. Let me tell you, once I got that attunement, I literally left my body and I did not come back into my body for at least an hour and a half. I needed to get some food into my body. So I will just let you know that this really can be a very intense energy experience, just depending on how you receive it. And also, I do believe the Moldavite added, it's an amazing crystal basically that they say it's the alien stone because when the comets hit the earth, they melted and created this completely new type of substance that is like a hybrid and it has very, very intense energies. And so I had this out of body experience. After the Reiki 2, I was full blown into Reiki, doing Reiki sessions at least 2, 3 times a week. And then that really kept on for a couple years and really I think was one of the catalysts that made me change my whole direction. And of course that's when in 2014 I decided to sell everything, leave the US and go backpacking, where I got my Reiki mastership in Bali. And this was such a profound experience because it was a whole week. And so this was me sitting in this amazing healing center in the middle of the jungle with these amazing other light workers getting attuned to this incredibly high frequency, but we're also learning other holistic modalities. But it was so crazy because I was in the rice paddy fields probably about 2 weeks later with some other friends. And we found this waterfall. And our guide had told us that this is a sacred waterfall and that not many tourists go there. It was really a place that a lot of the monks went to worship, but he knew
Mm.
of it. So he brought us there, and I felt this insanely powerful energy. It was just overwhelming, like to the fact that I did actually start tearing up and crying. It was just very
Mm.
profound, and I could feel the energy rising through. And we took some pictures in this waterfall, and it was amazing because after we looked at the pictures that evening, we could actually see faces and skulls in the waterfall. So the
Wow.
spirits were there. It was insanely powerful. And then I, of course, brought it back to the States. And like Amy says, it really is amazing. You can do Reiki laying down, you can do it sitting up. I had this one amazing client. She had cancer and it was hard for her to lay down. And so we
Mm.
would just do them while she sat up in the chair. And it really did help her in so many ways. And just throughout my career, I've been able to travel the world doing Reiki and chakra events and touching so many people. And you don't actually have to touch the skin. You can actually just hover, and you don't even have to be in person because now I'm literally doing weekly distance Reiki sessions, sometimes, 5 sessions a week. So Reiki is a universal energy concept. So understand it does not operate in the same constraints that we do. Time and distance mean nothing to Reiki. It can be actually projected forward. So if I know someone's having surgery, I just need to know what room, what hospital, and what time they're having the surgery in. And I can actually send Reiki to that room so that when the person is having the surgery, the Reiki is flowing and the surgery is much smoother and they have a much less pain afterwards. And then, of course, as we were talking about earlier, a lot of nurses are now incorporating it into the hospitals
Mhm.
too. So it has just transformed my life in so many ways. It has helped me with my insomnia. It has helped me with my anxiety. I crushed both of my feet. So for me, this is
In
my
a car
pain
accident. In
in
a
a
car accident.
yeah. So this is my pain medicine. I mean, they were going to amputate my feet. That's how bad it was. So this really is my pain medicine because I don't take any pills, like I've said before. Without Reiki, I really don't know how I would get through the day sometimes. So if you have not tried Reiki, please, please, please give it a try. It will change your life in so many ways. So,
And I've been lucky enough to receive treatments from Dara. I suffer from kidney stones and they flare up, they come back. And Dara, as I said, we're not in the same place. Dara has given me multiple treatments, and hand to God, it was so helpful immediately. And I cannot say enough about it and how talented and powerful Dara is, even with the distance Reiki. It doesn't matter. Like as she said, energy has no bound by time or space or places. Same with readings. Like we're able to connect no matter where you are. And that is the beauty of energy and quantum physics, if you really want to get deep. So, with that being said, we are going to introduce you to someone who is also helping to normalize spirituality. And that is one of our biggest things we're trying to do. And as Dara has said, that Reiki is now being normalized. We would love to welcome our guest this week, Tina Conroy, who's also known as the Intuitive Woman, and she is an energy healer and a medium who hosts an amazing podcast called the Intuitive Woman Podcast. And it is a weekly podcast that explores intuition. It has some guests. She's also a yoga instructor, a Reiki Master Teacher at the Center for Wellness and Integrative Medicine. She is definitely on our team of normalizing spirituality, and she's helping to normalize Reiki within her community and beyond, which we love. And she has really spent her life attuning her mind and body to truly listen to that internal voice that can predict or advise. which is inspired by, spirit, source, whatever you'd like to say. And she's also helping others, as we've been talking about with Reiki, to strengthen and improve their mental and physical health and to tune into that mind body connection. So Tina works with women. She is in the Long Island area in New York to develop intuition, connect with their inner guidance, and help to create that passionate spiritual life that we are all looking to be a part of. So we would like to welcome Tina to the Soul Tribes and to our conscious community. We're so happy to have you, Tina.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak about one of my favorite topics and to do it with the both of you. And to just say hello to your community. So it's such an awesome opportunity. Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you, Tina.
Thank you. So we really love to get to the core and for our audience to really understand your path. So Tina, how has your path led you to this beautiful moment?
So I have to go back because my path feels like I think most people's paths. There's a lot of winding roads. There's a lot of surprises along the way, and there's also just listening to the intuition that you speak about so much. So my path began to do this work truly as a 29 young mom, 29 with 2 children, which is quite young at today's standard. And I found myself practicing yoga. I wanted to practice yoga. I needed something in my life. All my friends were not having children. They were, traveling. They were buying apartments with their friends, things like that. And I walked into a yoga studio for myself. And when I laid in Shavasana and I felt that connection with my spirit that was always there, and I sometimes didn't hear it, I was reunited with it, and it put me on that journey. And yoga led me to then teaching yoga to kids. So I went on a 2-year mentorship of teaching yoga to children and teaching yoga to teens. And then from there, I walked into my first Reiki circle. And so I remember, I'm jumping a little over the place, but I remember getting a reading. And first of all, I never did readings. There was not such a thing as readings for me. I was brought up Catholic, so I wouldn't have done those things, but I got a reading. And I remember the person said to me, "You will be doing this work." They were talking about teaching Reiki and also mediumship and psychic ability work. And yoga was your doorway. So it was safe for me. I think my spirit felt it was safe. So that was sort of my origin of finding things and just keep trusting and, getting a little diverted here and there to do what I did. And then just continuing to kind of follow along little by little to what I'm doing today. And I'm sure I get into that a little bit.
I love that. Yes. And it is so interesting how, especially like I have a Catholic background too, you think about, oh, this doesn't seem like the right pathway for me, or I would never do that. But I love how you said yoga brought you into it, because for whatever reason, yoga has been more mainstream, I guess, or more accepted or normalized before all this other spirituality is starting to now trickle down. So speaking on that, how are you, because you are in a great opportune spot to normalize Reiki. So how is that kind of happening for you?
It's such an interesting thing. So I have an amazing opportunity right now. I work for a very, very large healthcare system, Northwell Health, and there's 75,000 employees in Northwell Health, 26 hospitals, and we are the wellness center. So we are the arm of the hospital system. So if you think of a very, very large hospital system, we have Lenox Hill in Manhattan, Staten Island, and then there's many on Long Island in New York. And it's New York based. And it's one of the largest healthcare systems, actually. And so I had the opportunity, I'd been a contractor doing this for many years. And I had the opportunity, and there is no coincidence, that
Never.
on March 16th, I was in negotiations to go full time. They
Wow.
created,
Of last year, March 16th.
yes, right,
Oh,
when everything
yes.
Was
changed.
blowing up.
And it's so interesting, that whole story in itself, but there was no synchronicities. And I had the opportunity, and they had to make a title for me. There was no, we're talking a big corporation, so there was
Right.
no title. There was no, they had to make one. So I am, privileged that they had to create a title for my job. And so I'm the Director of Energy and Healing at the Center for Wellness and Integrative Medicine at Northwell Health. I know it's a big mouthful.
That's huge in our community. You guys don't even know. You
Yes.
don't know. We've been fighting for this. So for her to have this, you don't even know. Like, we are so happy for you, Tina.
So geeked out for you. Yes.
So amazing.
Such a geek out thing, right?
It is.
Oh my God.
It really is.
So now I get to see people one-on-one for Reiki, and that could be anybody, the community, and the employees. I see all range of people. Doctors refer them to me or to our center, and then I also teach Reiki. So my day can consist of having one-on-one treatments with people, and then also running classes. And what's been so amazing is that I get to teach Reiki to what we call our ACPs. So ACPs are advanced care providers. They would be nurse practitioners and also PAs, physician assistants. So I run, my goodness, I've already ran 3 since last March, and it's a online now. I'm teaching them Reiki 1, and then if they choose to do Reiki 2, and then in the ACP program, I'm a portion of it. If you can imagine, it goes on for about 8 weeks. I'm a portion of it, and then they have to write a study, they have to write a thesis, and so that is one of the programs that I do, and so it's normalizing it,
Yes.
right? And one other thing which I love within the system is we have 26 hospitals in the system. And so one of the things that we have in a few of the hospitals is called Team Lavender. And it's just an amazing thing. So Team Lavender is nurses that work in the hospital, and they support other employees. So let's say you're a nurse and your colleague is going through a very difficult, challenging time. Maybe someone difficult time in work or outside of work. Team Lavender comes together and they support them by aromatherapy, by Reiki, by other modalities. And I'm teaching the Team Lavender people, nurses, Reiki it's coming up in March. So there's all these opportunities to infiltrate and to bring Reiki into the employees, then they can bring it to their colleagues, because I think if we can say anything right now, we can talk about patients, but we also need to talk about how the healthcare workers have been so impacted. So I'm seeing a lot of that right now, impacting them and helping them with Reiki to then learn and teach. Yeah.
Wow. That's so amazing.
I
It
mean,
really is.
yeah, like, we don't think about all the different venues, and everyone needs their cup filled back up. And like we did talk about before, it is for physical health, but it is also for mental and emotional health. And being said, also, I just want to kind of touch on, everyone is going to experience Reiki in a different way, depending on what your body needs. So some people feel this really warm buzz through their body. Some people actually see colors. And then some people, like myself, when I receive spiritual work, I actually see things like a movie. I see clear visions. And so a lot of different modalities will affect people different ways, as does Reiki. And so it's nothing good or bad, but I will say, sometimes people, they're like, oh my God, after an hour session, please give me more. So I'll go for another 30 minutes. And then I've actually had clients that might be dealing with more emotional problems that literally start bawling on the table within 20 minutes. And they're like, you know what, this is their first session and it was just a lot for them. So we stop after 20 minutes. And, the second session, they might be able to go a little bit further, but also it's all about what they're dealing with. So it really does help to purge all of that. And so don't ever feel bad. Also, I just want to let people know, if you do start crying on our table, we know that that is a release and we are holding space for you. Please do not be embarrassed at all. Because I once did have a guy that felt, I think, a little embarrassed. And I said, please, I'm just so grateful that you were open to experience this. And he really did have an improvement with his anxiety. He was like, oh my God, like, I really can't believe this worked. Like, he was actually really shocked, because I think he did it at first because he was like, oh, it was one of my friends. So I think he was like, oh, let me support my friend and let me see what this thing is. And da da da. He did not realize that what it really was, and it was going to affect him so deeply. So I think that as a community, for us to come together and normalize Reiki and accept it in our life is really important. And then I really kind of want to focus, Tina mentioned earlier that when she went to a Reiki circle, that's when she really first got introduced to it. So Tina, please let our viewers know, what exactly is a Reiki circle and what are the benefits that they can receive from joining one?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And to your point, Dara, I just want to say that you are absolutely right. One of the things that my spiritual teachers have said to me is that we have issues in our tissues. So if you need to cry, cry, because then you're releasing, right? And so get those emotions out and you're in a safe space. So I love that you said that. So a Reiki circle is a community-based Reiki. So Reiki is normally one-on-one treatment, but a Reiki circle, and there's a Reiki circle and Reiki share, and I can differentiate the two, but they're pretty similar. A Reiki circle would be a group of people that come together and for the most part are coming together in community physically, and they may lie down. The circles that I run, they lie down on yoga mats. They're very comfortable. There's a sacred space in the middle. This is all optional, obviously. You can have a sacred space with a candle and some incense and some essential oil, maybe some crystals. And we come together in community. There's a facilitator. So it normally is a Reiki master facilitates it. And they come together for intention. So normally I hold space. We may chat a little bit, just how everyone's doing, a centering, a very brief meditation, and then everybody lies down and we'll get comfortable, nice and cozy. You can definitely get chilly during a Reiki circle. So nice layers, lying down. I have everybody like in a spoke of a wheel. So think of everybody laying on yoga mats like in a spoke when I was doing it in person. And then the Reiki practitioner goes around to each person depending on how long the circle is. It may be 90 minutes. It's normally an hour to 90 minutes. And everybody gets a little bit of Reiki. So it's a little shortened version. Everyone may get 10 or 15 minutes. And then as I go around, so forth, sometimes I do have helpers and people help me. We close the circle by just coming back together. And then we may just discuss how we feel, or people may just kind of feel that Reiki love and take that into their day. And it's just a great way to experience Reiki in a community setting. And it's not a one-on-one, so it is nice. It's a little taste of Reiki, I think. I think, Dara, would you say that it's similar to that, a taste of Reiki? Because I know.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And for people that might be a little apprehensive or what it is, or even for, I think, people that are on a budget also, it is an amazing way because even when the Reiki is flowing in the room and the practitioner isn't directly hovering around you, the energy is still flowing in the room. So the collective whole is incredibly powerful. And then it also brings you together with like-minded community members, which of course is one of the focuses of this podcast, just bringing people together. So yes, Tina, you are so amazing. And I can't wait to do a Reiki share with Tina. Next time I go to New York, I'm definitely going to link up with her. So Tina, let them know what a Reiki share is.
Sure. So a Reiki share is normally all different levels of practitioners. So not just people that are just coming to receive energy, but are also wanting to give. So in a Reiki share, there may be different levels there may be a Reiki master and there's different levels and people want to share and give. So instead of just me being the one going around to everybody lying down and giving them Reiki, we have a team, I want to say like a team of Reiki facilitators, and will go on around to give everybody Reiki. And then sometimes they'll swap, they'll lie down and then we'll swap. So that's one way. And the other Reiki share way is you can have a massage table set up, and then one person can be on the massage table, and then there may be many hands on the person. Now, some people don't like that if they may feel too much energy. So you can do it in either way, but it's either where people are sharing, different people are giving and receiving, or one person's on a table and say, I would be at the head, Dara might be at the belly, Amy might be at the knees. And so there's many hands placements, kind of a laying on of hands, but it's more than just one practitioner. So it depends on the group and it depends on where they want to go, but they're all wonderful and powerful, and building community. That is really the true essence of it all.
And one time, Tina, it was all of us were Reiki attuned. I believe I was Reiki 2 at that time, but literally we sat in a circle. So everyone was a Reiki practitioner. And so it was kind of like I was sitting to the back of the person in front of me, and then they were sitting in the back. So everyone was sitting like ducks in a row, and we all were just giving the person in front of us Reiki and receiving Reiki from the person behind us in our back. Oh my God. Like, it was such an extraordinarily powerful. I thought I was in a different dimension. I was like, I don't know where we just went, but let me get back on that spaceship and let's go back. So.
Absolutely. I love that. I can see that. I'm always a person that can see in the pictures, and I can see just a circle and the hands and a beautiful circle around and feeling that energy. And that's a beautiful, beautiful vision. Thank you for sharing that. I loved it.
I love that. So there is another side to you too. Like, you are, as you said, a Reiki master, and you do kind of have this corporate job as well. But then there's also the intuitive side to you. So how would you say has tuning into your intuition helped to change your life and help to lead you through your life? Because I feel like for intuition, that really is kind of what its purpose is. So tell me more about that.
That's true. I feel that intuition is that inner compass for ourselves. So just listening to it and developing it more and exercising it more and trusting it more, because everybody has it. So yes, my intuition, I work at it every day in a good way, right? It's pleasant. I love it. For me to just continue to listen to it, I think, and intuition comes in many different forms. And for me, there's a knowingness a lot, and also visualize. So my dreams are always something that I dream in color. I can smell in color in my dreams. And so dreams were always, symbols and signs. I don't want to say there were some that were precognitive, but for the most part, they're symbols and signs for the things that I'm going through in my life. And so I've been very aware of connecting with that. Intuition has guided me to where I am today. And I like to use intuition on demand. I think that there's so many people that, thinks it's this whimsical thing that's just going to happen. And it is possible. You could be in the shower and get a download and hear something, but you can also really use it on demand and understand it. And each person's intuition may come in a little bit differently. And it's just getting to know that, how it speaks to you, or how you hear it, or how you know it. So it's always just part of me, I think.
And then I think it's also, we've spoken a little bit, but with your signs, like maybe seeing a dog means something for you. And so when you see a dog coming in with a client or something, you will say, oh, I think maybe something amazing, something loving is coming into your life. Whereas somebody else might be afraid of dogs. So when they see a dog in their intuition with a client, it might symbolize something bad is coming into their life, or something to be protecting or aware of. So it's up to us to see the signs and the visualizations that we see, and then to actually understand for ourselves what that interpretation is, and then kind of actually making an interpretation journal so that you can really figure out and become a better medium, or just increase your intuition so that you understand, oh, when I'm seeing that, this is what that means.
Yeah, sure. And it's interesting because when I first started giving a client Reiki, it all started, that's when things started coming, the pictures in my mind and the kind of a movie screen in my mind. And now when I give Reiki, it's very interesting. Spirit always seems to change things up a little bit. So now when I give Reiki, there's not so much of, yes, I'm intuitively guided and I sense and feel energy, but it's not the same as it used to be. I think in the beginning, it was just sort of finding how it was going to work for me. So now if I'm giving a Reiki treatment to someone, of course I'm using my intuition. It's a byproduct of Reiki. Everybody will enhance it by using it and, getting Reiki attuned. But it's more of a feeling of energy and a knowingness. It's not so much about, oh, I have your father here or I have your mother here. So it's almost like spirit use different ways now. So Reiki is truly working with the energy and working with the physical and emotional and mental body and the spiritual body. And there's some signs that come through, of course. And then a reading, I'm not even touching the person, and it's almost just like a dialogue. So it's just interesting how the work has changed a little bit for me. Some people I know give Reiki and are like giving a reading at the same time. And I don't do that just because it's changed a little bit for me. And I think that like it changes. I think as we move through and evolve, things change as well. So
I definitely agree.
And
Yeah,
I just want to touch one more thing that came to mind right when you're talking, just because you were talking about the different forms of utilization. I Reiki attune my water and all my food before I consume it. You can bless your food and raise the frequency. So this is also something that's very important for people to know. And there are even things such as Reiki candles. So when the wick is lit, Reiki will flow, and anyone that's within the glow shall receive it.
It's so
I
true.
love
I
that.
Reiki everything. I mean, I'll Reiki my car. I'll Reiki
Exactly. I'm Reiki
my
car too.
plane.
Yes,
I
I
actually fixed my car once in New York with Reiki, I swear.
I'm
It's
always using it.
amazing. It is. I recently, hand to God, fixed my washing machine with Reiki
Oh, and
because
leaky sinks.
yeah, I mean, it is amazing the power that it can have. And I also just wanted to speak to, like Dara was saying, how, you may see a dog and it can mean one thing to someone else, etc. I like to tell clients it's almost like what we do is playing telephone. You know what I mean? Because we're having to interpret what spirit's telling us, and then we're having to put it into our language with our preconceived things and all the sort of things that goes with that, and then we tell it to you. So sometimes it can be very direct, or sometimes it's almost cryptic. So it is a very powerful gift, and it is so fun to tune into ourselves and watch that change also occur. As Tina was saying, that just because we have these gifts doesn't mean we're not continually learning, and that we aren't ourselves leveling up or going through different awakenings that are bringing in new different modalities for ourselves. So I love that you said that, Tina, that you feel like your practice has changed and it has grown, and I'm sure it will continue to even more now, because you really are playing that teacher role, and you are now just doing the work to normalize this within the healthcare system and training healthcare workers, especially in these trying times of COVID, when everyone's energy is so depleted. And it's something that is so needed to bring that life force back into, their hands, literally.
Absolutely.
Tina,
Absolutely.
may I ask, have you ever participated in the World Reiki Shares once a month on, I believe it's like the second or third Wednesday of the month? That there is a organization that all the Reiki practitioners around the world, they've actually planted Reiki symbols. So I'm not going to exactly show you the symbols because they are sacred, but I do have some crystals that have the Reiki symbols. And basically what the Reiki symbols are, it's just symbols to amplify different parts of the energy. They've actually planted different cards around the world, including like the North Pole and South Pole. And these are like energy holders. And so we send Reiki to these energy holders. And what it does is we're actually sending Reiki to the earth. And so we're helping to heal Gaia and everything that lives on Gaia. So of course, that's every single plant, every single animal, and every single human as well. So have you ever experienced or joined in with that as well, Tina or Amy?
I haven't I have heard of it. I
You've
haven't
heard of it.
actually done it. So I
Okay.
haven't actually been part of it. I'm part of the Reiki Association and there's Long Island Reiki, there's many different associations. So I'm always getting information from them as well as, I've spoken on different platforms. So, but I love that idea. So I'm going to definitely look into that. So I love
Okay,
it.
I'll send
I
you an
haven't done it.
email link.
I love it. It's
I don't
perfect.
do it every time. I really should be better. I've done it probably about 24 times. So
That's great. Well, we need it. We need it. And,
Absolutely.
you brought me to a funny memory with the symbols and I know we can't share the symbols because they're sacred, but when I was learning Reiki, my son was just learning to drive. So he's like 16, 17 at the time. And so I would go ahead and just give him a hug and then I would write the symbol on his back and pat him on the way.
you're such a good mommy.
I'm such a mommy.
I
You're
And
love
he's
such a
like,
that.
"What are you doing? What are you doing?"
None
I'm
of
like,
your business.
"Nothing."
I'm just
My
loving you.
Sophia, my
Yeah, so-
Sophia, I will give her Reiki, like same kind of deal, like when she's not kind of looking. And then she's like, Mommy, what are you doing with your hands? You're not doing anything to me. What is that? Why do you have your hands? It's so funny what,
It is.
we
It's
try
good,
and
though.
sneak into our children. So I love
Yeah.
that. Well,
Absolutely.
Tina, it has been just a pleasure to have you. And again, to have you within our community and sharing your medicine and talking about how you are normalizing it for humanity and for healthcare workers. That is just everything that we need in this world, especially within this time. So thank you so much. And if you would just stay with us a little bit longer, we're going to go through a journaling exercise that we do every week. So we have our journals and we have a little manifesting journal that we like to use. And this week, I want you, in honor of the intuitive woman, to give yourself permission, and this is a big thing for me too, to just write what comes to you. I want you to think about connecting to your higher mind and asking just to be given insight into your life. Because as Tina said, and as we've spoken on, intuition really is right there for you. It is there to access anytime, any place, anywhere. So I want you to ask for your thoughts and your feelings to flow in with ease. And my favorite mantra, which really has spoken to me and has led me into my profession, honestly, is stating, I'm a clear and open channel for communication. I want you to say that you release and transform your patterns as you allow the positivity and the stream of consciousness of wisdom and creation to enter in my being. Then I just want you to write. I just want you to get quiet for a couple minutes and write whatever comes to you. And you will be honestly blown away by what can come through when you allow it and when you are ready and open to receive it. Then another journaling opportunity is we kind of asked Tina a little bit about this, and I'd like you to ask yourself, I notice my intuition when? And sometimes it can come to you, mine comes to me a lot of the times while I'm driving. And I've always had that, even as a child, when I was a little hard to reach at times. So my parents knew I would be a captive audience in a car. So if they needed to get to me or talk to me about something, they knew I could not escape it if I was in a car. So I think for me, it's always been a time of contemplation. You might want to, and spirit always talks to me through music. So it's a great time for me to tune in there. Obviously, pay attention to your driving. I don't want to be liable for that, but tune in, see, and start noticing. Maybe sometimes it's in the shower. Maybe sometimes it's in your office. Maybe sometimes it's in a sacred place that you create. As Tina was saying, like in her Reiki circles, she creates that place. I also then want you, because a big part of what we've talked about today is in order to provide services to people, in order to be your highest self, in order to not feel like you're burning the candle at both ends, you have to nurture your spirit. So I want you to think about, I nurture my spirit by, and maybe that is, listen, we all may be some spiritual vibing out ladies, but guess what? We were all speaking on lip gloss and Sephora, okay? So there are different ways to nurture your spirit, and it comes from, maybe it's an Epsom salt bath, maybe it's a Reiki circle, maybe it's getting a reading, maybe it is doing a little shopping, okay? Or maybe, don't judge me,
Like
but
me, I was gonna say ocean time.
Absolutely, absolutely. But for me, one thing that brings me peace is the Real Housewives television shows, because I am able to not think about anything, and my brain is constantly thinking about 1,000 things. I'm tuning into the energy around me. Sometimes I need some trash television to numb my brain. So whatever it is, whatever is nurturing you, don't judge it, and don't allow someone else to judge what feels good to you. And as Dara said, yes, girl, the beach has given me space and healing in ways nothing else could. I even chose to get married on the beach because it does give me that life force. So hopefully that's helpful to you. And again, it's all about just tuning into your intuition and listening and trusting and removing that nasty little ego of yours, and instead listen to the good voice that is guiding you. So thank you again, Tina, for coming. I'm just beyond grateful, and I was lucky enough to be on your podcast. Thank you so much. And if you want to share where they can reach you, and please make sure you follow her, listen to her podcast. Go ahead, Tina.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. It's so beautiful, the work that you're doing in this world. So you can find me on my website, tinaconroy.com. I hang out on Instagram at The Intuitive Woman, and I'm recently on Clubhouse. That's a new one for me. It's an audio platform, and I'm doing daily weekday meditations at 8:30 a.m. for about 15 minutes. It's Reiki and meditation, and I am at Intuitive Woman on that as well. So you can find me on any of the platforms, Facebook too. So yeah, just love to connect. And thank you, ladies, for really building this beautiful community of light workers and supporting each other. So many, many blessings.
Oh, thank you, Tina. And we, again, are just trying to help normalize spirituality so everyone can get a place where they feel valid, they feel heard, they feel loved, they feel safe and supported. So thank you again for coming to our community. And you can find Dara, go ahead, Dara.
At DARAJEWETT, Dara Jewett, on IG and Facebook. You can find all my links to my websites on there. And I will say, Tina, I just got on Clubhouse as well about 2 weeks ago. I haven't really had a chance to play with it, but it really does seem like an amazing platform. So I'm definitely going to be connecting with you on that too.
Wonderful.
And then Amy, go ahead and give them your links.
You can find me at Amy Dascola Medium on Instagram and Facebook, amydascola.com to book with me. And then you can find us at thesoultribes.com, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Soul Tribes. And please listen, share, subscribe on YouTube and anywhere podcasts are available. So thank you again, Miss Tina. It was absolutely our honor to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, ladies.
All right.
Blessings.
Take care.